Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to my class, Molecular Mysteries. Hope you are thoroughly following my channel regularly. You are going through my videos. Please let me know in the comment box about the ideas that you have and any doubts also. Now, let's talk about the heartbeat. So, hope guys, I'm not confusing you. I'm not giving. I'm giving a brief note of it. See how the structure of heart is, internal structure of your heart. Okay. Now, see, this is how the lub stops. This is interesting. If you can observe it, see, this is your right auricle, this is your right ventricle, this is your left auricle, and this is your left ventricle. I told you this right auricle will receive the precaval veins. These are the two precaval veins that are present, and you know, they come from the head, like, okay, they collect the deoxygenated blood from the head and other body parts, and this is post caval vein that collects blood from the other body parts, right? So all would enter into the auricle. Once the blood is present in the auricle, it would be the sino-auricular node that is present in the auricle would get contracted. And the auricles, the both auricles simultaneously contract at a time. Okay, the two auricles, the left auricle which is filled with the oxygenated blood, and the right auricle which is filled with the deoxygenated blood, both contract at the same time, because the both auricles have filled, the auricles are completely filled with the blood, and the sino-auricular node would make a vibration or a wave that would make the auricles contract, and thus the contracted blood would enter into the ventricles, right? So at a time. And when I am talking about auricles, I'm also talking about the left ventricle, see, left auricle as well. Okay, so the both auricles would pump the blood to their respective ventricles. The both ventricles now they are completely filled with blood, and now you know that we have some small connective tissues arising from auriculoventricular node. There is one more node present in between the auricles and the ventricles called auriculoventricular node, and this auriculoventricular node would extend many connective tissues called Purkinje fibers or bundle of hairs. Okay, these fibers would completely extend towards your complete ventricles, and thus the whole ventricles is thick walled and would easily be transferred, right? So apart through that, what happens when the blood enters into the ventricles, this particular auriculoventricular node would contract, and thus the ventricles would get contract immediately and push the blood towards your respective systemic aorta and the pulmonary aorta. And how does this happen? So the one important thing here is, I just thought I can explain what does the sound lub means, what does the sound dub means. Lub means the auricles are pumping your blood towards your ventricles, and the same time I told you these two are separated by a wall, right, which would like a flap like structure. Once the auricles receive the blood towards the ventricles, this would just close it. The tricuspid walls and the bicuspid walls present on the either side of your heart would help to prevent the backflow of blood from the ventricles to the auricles. So that is a sound that makes tup, lub. Lub is a sound when the tricuspid walls and the bicuspid walls would stop black flow of your blood, so that the blood enters only to the ventricles, not going back towards your auricles. So that is a lub sound mean. What does the dub sound mean? See, this heart is so mechanized that once the tricuspid and bicuspid wall allow the blood towards your ventricles, simultaneously this would close, right? The walls would be closing towards, preventing the backward flow. At the same time, you have semi-lunar walls but present at the back of your pulmonary aorta and the systemic aorta. You know that pulmonary aorta goes to the lungs for purification, and systemic aorta goes for the supply of the oxygenated blood, right? So these ventricles have to enter into the blood in the ventricles have to enter into the respective pulmonary and the systemic respectively. For that to happen, you have three semilunar walls at the back of your pulmonary aorta and the back of your systemic aorta. So what would happen when the tricuspid walls and the bicuspid walls close immediately? after the blood is pumped from auricles to ventricles, they immediately close. At the same time, simultaneously, these semilunar walls would open, so that the blood that is present in the ventricles would immediately move into their respective aortas, like it would be pulmonary or it could be systemic. Hope I am clear with the concept, right? So once the whole blood enters or goes into their respective aortas, the semilunar walls would close again, so that that blood would never enter into the ventricles back. So that is the dub sound that makes. The semilunar walls near the pulmonary aorta and the back of the systemic aorta would make sure that blood is entering only to their aortas, only from the ventricles, and it is not going back, and it will make sure it is closed. That is how the opening and closing of your tricuspid walls and the semilunar walls makes the sound lub dub. Hope I am clear with the concept of the heartbeat. Okay, see this how beautiful they have explained you. This is how the blood enters, and this is the pulmonary aorta, this goes to the lungs, and this is the systemic aorta which goes to the other body parts. Okay, see how beautifully they have explained it. This is your left ventricle, this is your right ventricle, this is your pulmonary thing, and this is your systemic thing. And so that is how it enters. Blood flow mainly contains all the nutrients, and also it keeps supplying the important, I can say, the hormone supplying, nutrition supplying, the oxygen supplying happens only through blood, and that is only done by the heart. So heart is considered to be the pumping organ. See, this is how beautifully they have explained. This is external structure of heart. See, if you can notice, these are the blue colored one or the veins, and the red color one are the arteries, right? So I told you this is your right auricle, right? This is your right ventricle. So you are getting the postcaval veins and the precaval veins enter into the right auricle, and from the right auricle it enters into the right ventricle, and from the right ventricle, it enters into the pulmonary thing for your lungs and get oxygenated, and again it enters into the systemic. Sorry, it enters into the left auricle, and from the left auricle it enters into the left ventricle, and thus again it enters in from left ventricle, it enters into the systemic aorta, and the systemic aorta would supply the arterial blood to all the body parts. So hope I am not confusing you. I thought this diagram would be helpful for you. See how beautifully they have given you the arterial system and the venous system. In the coming classes, I will also discuss about where does the arteries go and veins go. Okay. See, this is the rib cage and how it is been. This is the rib cage where heart is being protected. Heart is being protected from the lung. See, in the lungs at the backward, it is protected by the rib cage also. So heart is how it's pumping the blood. This is your deoxygenated blood, that is why it is in blue color. So this auricle contains precaval veins and postcaval veins entering into it, and now it enters into the ventricles, and you have bicuspid and tricuspid walls here. It will enter into down for your understanding. So left systemic arch, and the left is the left auricle, and so this is the left systemic arch, and this is the left auricle, and this is the auriculoventricular node, from where you have got all these chordae tendineae and also the Purkinje fibers start extending from this auriculoventricular node, and you have your bicuspid walls from separated from the left auricle and the left ventricle, and okay, these are the one which makes a lub sound, and you have left ventricle which is very thick walled, and this is the wall of your heart. Okay, and this is your tricuspid wall which separates from auricles to the ventricles, and this tricuspid wall is the one where your lub sound comes, right? And this is the main important part I want to tell you, that is sino-auricular node, from where the heart wave starts, and this is called the pacemaker, right? And you have clear with the concept of heart structure, function, and the ventricles, auricles, chambers of heart. So in the coming class I'll talk about the arterial system and the venous system in detail. So hope you liked my class. Please keep liking and keep Please keep following my channel. Thank you and have a nice day. See you in the next class. Until then, stay positive, stay healthy, and be kind to everyone. Thank you. Bye bye.